Hello everyone, Susie here. Before we start today's show, I want to let you know about an upcoming event that I'm honoured to be a part of. On August the 14th, I'll be appearing in the Sunshine Summit, a live streaming event on YouTube. Created by Heather, host of the Sunshine and Power Cuts podcast, the Sunshine Summit is a week-long event celebrating connections and friendship. Do look out for it. She'll be joined by some of the wonderful podcasters that she's met during her first year of podcasting. More details and links are in the show notes. Welcome to the Casual Birder podcast, a weekly podcast for people interested in the birds they find around them. I'm Susie Buttress. A few weeks ago, while visiting Los Angeles, I met with Camille. Eric Trawls, host of E-Travels with E-Trawls, had introduced us as he knew we shared a common interest in bringing our love of birds to the wider population. Camille is co-founder of Coyote Kids, a programme which provides guided walks and workshops to children, teaching them about the natural world. We met in Elysian Park in central Los Angeles. The previous weekend I had spent at Lake Arrowhead with other podcast fans at Max FunCon. While there, I had jokingly described myself as being like the dog, Doug, from the Pixar animation Up, who mid-sentence will be distracted by a squirrel. But in my case, I'm distracted by seeing birds. During my introductory conversation with Camille, she described herself in the same way. I knew then we were kindred spirits. So Camille, thank you so much for joining me on the Casual Birder podcast.
You're welcome. I'm excited.
It's a beautiful day. We're recording this outside. We are going to have car sounds and bird sounds, hopefully. There's plenty of birds around us. So you run a... well, tell me about it. I'm not quite sure how to describe it. So.
Absolutely. It's called Coyote Kids, and it's like a children's education program in the park. And so the whole idea is to get kids back into nature, because my partner and I, Tatiana, we both realized when we met actually here in this park walking our dogs, and we both were just talking and venting about how we see kids so much just on screen time, on their parents' phones and on iPads, and never looking up and around them and never noticing their surroundings. Even in the park, we see this sometimes. And so we kind of just looked at each other like, we should do something about this. And so we ended up, it's a side gig a little bit. We both have full-time jobs. I teach biology at the college level, and she's a life coach. And but she's taught elementary school before in Germany. She's German. And so we just decided to start a little program, and it's still kind of in its nascent stages, but it's been really fun getting kids to the park. And we have kind of a three facets of the program. We always do a little science lesson. So I teach a biology lesson that some of the concepts I actually teach in college, but I just kind of try to break it down to the kid level, like the energy pyramid. And we have a big whiteboard, and we have big stickers that they can put different animals at different levels and plants, and try to make it interactive and fun for them. And then we also have the hike, which we try to apply the science concepts that we just learned on the hike. And also, of course, bird identification, because obviously that is something that we can see all around us. We also do a lot of plant identification, a lot of the native plants.
Right.
And some invasive species, because those are important to talk about as well. And then we also do Native American craft making at the end.
It's okay.
What'd you see?
So it's a mourning dove, but the way it was operating, I thought it was a flycatcher of some sort, but it's a mourning dove.
It's a mourning dove.
Yeah. Sorry.
There's a lot of those. Yeah.
So sorry.
No worries.
So you said, you do the bird identification, but you also do plant identification.
Mm-hmm, we do a little both. Yeah.
Sorry, was there something else you were just about to say?
No, that's basically the Native American craft making at the end.
Right.
And so that's kind of fun. We make either necklaces with beads and feathers and such, or recently we've done tie-dyed shirts with natural dyes like turmeric or beet.
Right.
And that's really fun as well. The kids love tie-dyeing. We really try to kind of bring in the just nature into everything that we do. And so Tatiana loves Native American culture. We do a lot of spirit animal journeys. Basically, it's kind of like little meditations where we have them lie down. She plays the flute. She's amazing. And she, we lead them through trying to find their spirit animal. We talk about what that means in Native American culture. And we always tie birds into everything because, again, it's what we can see out here.
Yeah.
And so it's really exciting. If we talk about these big animals like bears or, more maybe charismatic big mammals that they're into, that's fun, but we don't have the reward of being able to see them on our hike.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
that sounds really amazing. How many children do you take at one time?
It's still kind of in the beginning stages, so we can get 5 or 6 kids at a time. So it's very kind of a private experience.
Yeah.
We've had 3 kids sometimes, which is actually really fun. And they're all between ages 6 and 12. Mostly we get 7, 8-year-olds.
And do you get the same children coming back?
Mostly. Yeah, we have our loyal Coyote Kids.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
I just think that program you're describing is so in tune with what I'm trying to do with just encouraging people generally to just notice what's going on around them.
Exactly.
Because we're so intent on rushing here, there, carrying out all our chores.
Exactly.
And don't often stop to look. And for me, I find it very calming to just focus on what's happening around me.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
With the birds.
Yeah.
And it just gives me some space, some mental space to sort of switch off a little bit.
Yeah,
and you can become
absolutely.
so focused on what they're doing and so intent.
Exactly. And you wonder, why are they doing that? And, like what you start to think about what they're doing in their lives, like, are they going back to a nest or are they, what's their day look like today?
That's absolutely.
I don't know. It's kind of fun for not even a birder. I mean, we try to encourage also the parents. We do these little cleanups of this park also, and it's just a community family friendly event that we try to do. I've done a couple of them so far. We just kind of started those, but they're really fun because we get everybody coming, and we also pick up trash in the park as well, which is a good message
so
for the kids.
a community benefit as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, as well as a natural one for not leaving rubbish around for the birds to take
Exactly.
or animals.
Right.
One of the things I wanted to mention on the show was how when we met just now, I was a little bit late because driving in LA traffic was quite scary. Yay me for doing it.
Yeah, good job. Congratulations.
Thank you. But as I drew into the parking lot, I thought, I wonder how I'll recognise Camille.
Yeah.
And there you were with your binoculars out, staring intently into a tree. And I thought, oh, this is like a mirror. This is what people see when they come see me.
I know. And I love how we had the comparison of being distracted as easily as a dog to a squirrel.
Absolutely. All weekend
We're
I've been
both like
telling
that.
people that, and I've been doing it. I've been noticing myself doing it. Just suddenly, as soon as I see movement, I'm like, what's that? There's a bird. I've got to go and have a look. And that's
Guilty.
so funny. But also, while we were sitting here setting up, we've seen quite a variety of birds just in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about some of the birds that you do see
Yeah.
here? And I
Yeah.
should just say we're in Elysian Park
Yes,
in LA.
Elysian Park.
Oh, sorry, Elysian Park in
English
LA.
pronunciation. Elysian Park. It's actually the second largest city park in Los Angeles. So Griffith Park is obviously the largest. It's over 4,000 acres. I don't know exactly how big this one is, but it's quite big. It wraps around the Dodger Stadium, so there's a lot of traffic in the area, but it's actually really amazing. It's this little oasis when you go up in the hills and you have these views of the Los Angeles sky, the skyscape, and the birds here are amazing. I mean, just before you came in the few minutes, I got out of the car and I was like, well, I wonder if it's going to be a good morning for birds. And I literally saw like 7 or 8 species immediately. So I was like, oh, yeah, we're good.
What did you see?
There was the red-shouldered hawk that was calling that we heard before we saw. And that flew by. And then there was there's a lot of house finch in this area. That's a pretty common one. I saw Anna's hummingbird, which are always so much fun to watch. There was just this western bluebird that we just saw attacking himself in a car mirror, which was really fun to watch.
And yay, I finally saw a bluebird, so that was great.
They're so cute, little male western bluebird. And then, let's see, the California towhee, of course. And there's a couple of those. They're very common.
And we had the woodpeckers, didn't we? The acorn woodpeckers.
We had an acorn
turned up.
woodpecker, and I saw a downy woodpecker before you came as well. So the 2 species that are mostly seen in this area, I would say.
So what would be the list that you would tell the children to look out for?
Yeah, it's a good question. The big common ones, basically. I mean, the small ones, as we know, are hard to identify, like all the warblers and the vireos and such. Although the bush tit is pretty common, and because they're so gregarious and they're always in these groups and they're so much fun and they sound like tiny birds. That's what I love about them. It's like you hear it, like that has to be a tiny bird, and it is a tiny bird. So those ones are fun to identify with the kids. But the American crow, the common raven, that's actually a big challenge to try to distinguish between the two, because from far away they do look quite alike. The red-tailed hawk, of course, because those are actually pretty common in this area. So we usually see at least one or two on a Coyote Kids morning, which is 3 hours in the morning, once a month. And then we talk about my personal favorite is the black phoebe. It's absolutely adorable. It's a flycatcher. It's just black and has this white belly and is the cutest.
I think I saw one of those up at
I'm sure.
The Adamson house on the coast.
Yeah, I'm sure they're
so is that one with
common.
a white belly and
Exactly.
sort of black head and down into
Exactly.
the Oh, fantastic!
Exactly.
Yes, so
They're
I've seen
so cute, and I love those. So yeah, I'd say those are the American crow, common raven, the red-tailed hawk.
Was that the acorn woodpecker again?
I think so.
It was definitely woodpecker sounding.
Yeah. And then the California towhee is the one I was forgetting as well. And sometimes we see spotted towhee here as well, which are beautiful. They're just a little more shy.
Yeah, no, I saw a spotted how do you say
towhee?
it again? Towhee. I every time I say the word, I say it differently. There's a spotted towhee up at Lake Arrowhead just at the weekend. And I've seen them before on the Big Sur. But I don't think I've got a photograph of them. And I tried desperately to get a photograph of this one, and it every time
they're so shy.
Yeah, but it came out into the open. It was like, yes, I will get that. And just as I zoomed, it had gone again.
Of course.
Okay, it's a visual. I've got the memory in my head.
Write it down.
The photograph.
Scene. Check.
Yes. So with the children, talking about that, with the children, do you give them checklists
Yes.
to sort of look at? And how are they with those?
Absolutely. It's really fun. I think everybody loves checking off checklists, right? And they get so into it. We see something and we're walking like, okay, we have to remember that to check that off at our next stop. And then we bust out the checklist. And we have plants on there as well, some of the common trees. And also, the western fence lizard. I try to kind of throw in some other... we see the gopher around here.
Oh, I've never seen a gopher.
Oh, gosh, they're everywhere. If we're quiet enough, I'm sure they'll pop up around us right now. And then, so the birds are actually the predominant species on the checklist.
Now, when you're explaining to the children about birds, are there particular characteristics or things you tell them to look out for in order to try to work out what kind of bird it is, whether it's a raptor or whether it's a seed-eating bird? Do you talk about that? And then
a little bit. We do talk about, adaptations, and so we try to kind of apply, like with a finch, I'll talk about its bill or such. We talk about the raptors riding thermals a little bit. We unfortunately, we haven't gotten... That should be a theme of one of our days, is just...
Sorry, I've been distracted. There's an acorn woodpecker on the tree just there. And he was
right behind us.
Yeah, and he was flying and pulling bits of bark off.
He's so cute.
So we may hear him tap at the tree, but he's definitely pulling bits of bark off.
Scrambling a little bit.
Yeah. I think the bark is quite loose, and so he's helping it to come off. Sorry to do
no worries.
Doing the typical distraction.
Yeah,
it's fine
squirrel.
If you have to. Yeah, exactly. So when there is a bird around, are there things you suggest to the children to look out for, because they may not have a book or something with them or an app with them to identify?
Yeah, that's true. I always have like 10 field guides on me. And we have these little fold-out field guides that we've made photocopies of. And so the children do have little field guides with the basic birds in the area and plants and such. But yeah, size, that's an easy one for children, right? If it's kind of we talk about the American robin as well, because we see those a lot and we hear them so much. So the size we talk about, is it more robin size, or is it hummingbird size, or is it crow size? But no, you're making me think that I need to do just a bird identification day with Coyote Kids, just the different types of characteristics and traits that you might look for.
Whether they're found on the floor, scrabbling in leaf litter, whether they're hanging in the tree, crawling up a side of a tree like the woodpecker.
And I have talked about that a little bit, but I haven't had a full kind of lesson focused around it. I think that would be a really good idea.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're very welcome. It's one of the things I try to remember to do when I'm talking about the bird species on the podcast is try to think about size, definitely. And one of the things that I've been doing recently is likening the size of a bird to so originally I was just going to say things like sparrow sized or pigeon sized or but I wanted to be a bit more inclusive in the language that I use to allow people who may not have sight to be able to know what we're talking about. And so I had some advice from Sarah at Exeter University. Shout out to Sarah Bell for her help. So now I use fruits and vegetables as a size guide because that
great.
Works for sighted and people without sight. Just to give them an idea about size. So like a sparrow size might be the size of, now back home I would say a peach. Now I know peaches over here can be pretty big. So
the American peaches.
Yeah. And I do try to be inclusive again in my language by if I say that something's the size of an aubergine, I also say eggplant. Because to allow the American and Canadian listeners to know. But yeah, that's something that I've been trying to do. Not I mean, this is the first time I've talked about it because I feel with inclusive language it should just be something you use without saying, oh, by the way, I'm using this language.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it just becomes then accepted that that's the way we use the descriptions.
But I love how that could also really work well with children.
And it's interesting you say that because I was talking to a children's author at the weekend and she also does classes and she said the same thing, that it's something that's really conceptual.
Absolutely. Everybody knows fruits and vegetables. Well, children should know their fruits and vegetables.
Well, yes. There you go, another learning point there. But yeah, so with children it can absolutely work too. So
that's a great idea. I love that.
I love this sharing of experiences and ideas and how we can work on those.
I can't wait to include that in Coyote Kids.
Excellent. You're very welcome. My fees are very low. No, I'm gathering lots of information back, so it's fine. Exchange of ideas.
This is actually an arboretum, interestingly enough. So this whole area with these trees all in here and that go that way, or there's a lot of tropical trees that they've planted, and it's actually a very old arboretum. It's from the beginning of the 20th century, I believe.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
because it's really, really pretty. I mean, I'm looking at a skyline with those.
Yeah, the palm trees up there. So the Dodger Stadium is right there.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's several different types of palm, aren't there? There's those ones that look like Las Vegas type palms. Right.
They're kind of like your typical Los Angeles palms a little bit too, if you go on the west side, lining the streets.
Like is it Grand Union Station?
Grand Central. Not Grand Central. Union Station.
Union Station. Yes. Is Grand Central the one in New York? I saw that with all the palm trees outside and and then you've got these bigger ones that have sort of more stocky trunks.
Unfortunately, I don't know the palms very well.
And jacaranda trees, they're just so beautiful.
They're in bloom right now.
Really lovely sort of lavendery blue colour, so soft. And I've been through a couple of streets where they've just lined the streets, and it's so pretty.
It's gorgeous. Right now is a gorgeous time for the jacarandas.
These trees
a lot of eucalyptus.
I was just going to say, these trees, they look like eucalyptus, and that's what the acorn woodpecker was just pulling the bark off.
They are. It's interesting, right? Because they're not native to California, but they're used quite a bit, I'd say, at this point. I see a lot of birds in them. I've seen red-tailed hawks nest in them. So it's this park is full of eucalyptus.
Yeah, they are very tall trees as well, aren't they?
They're big water suckers.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So that's not ideal for
everything else.
Yes.
But most of this is kind of chaparral habitat, right? So it's most drought-resistant plants in this area. It's a month ago. This was absolutely green, lush, green. Just the wild mustard is just growing so high that you could walk through it and kind of get lost. Have to kind of it's in the yellow flowers. And a month ago, this was absolutely gorgeous here. It changes very fast.
Now, I just heard some calls that I didn't recognise. So that's another thing I wonder whether when you've taken the children out, how do you get them to focus on things they can't see?
Very good question. Yeah. It's not very long periods of time, to be honest.
Right.
Especially if there's quite a few, because they like to, play together, and sometimes they're friends already, and so there's also a bird over there attacking himself in the mirror. Sorry. It might be fine. It might be the
bluebird again?
Although it looks bigger, it could be a towhee. It needs to turn around so we could see its belly. Oh, there it goes.
I didn't see whether it had any red under its tail.
know.
I've been seeing the Californian towers up at. I was staying in Altadena, and there were some
nice
up
out
there at the place I was staying.
Nice, more closer to nature up there.
Lots of parrots.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, so many parrots and parakeets in this area. We see them here too. But as far as getting their attention to...
Yes. Sorry.
No. I'm
Just
trying to
my
remember.
attention.
I
Veered off.
know. We're really channeling our inner dogs here. Distracted so easily. Yeah, it tends to be kind of short periods of time. Just we're like, everybody quiet. And, you make it really exciting, right? Like, what is that? I just heard something, and everyone's like, oh, what did she hear, And so as long as you kind of... And, excitement is contagious, right?
It is.
And I find this a lot, and I teach as well college students, and although the age gap is huge, they sometimes often act like children also. So, you kind of use the same method sometimes, where you just have to all of a sudden get really excited about something, and then they're just like, oh, wait, she's really excited about something. This has got to be good.
Yeah.
And so we do that a lot with the kids, actually, and they tend, and then it's a mystery, and
Yes.
that's the fun part with the kids, right? They're like, oh, what is it? And then I break out my field guides, or I am guilty. I use my app.
The apps are so helpful, especially if they've also got the sounds on them as well. That's right.
Exactly, the sounds so
and they
great.
often have a search function, so
exactly.
Yeah.
And I love to kind of call it, and I'd make the call so they can see the bird and they can hear what it sounds like, and then sometimes the birds actually react and come and check us out, and that's much fun. I've had a black-headed grosbeak do that a few times.
I saw one up at Lake Arrowhead, and that was a real major find for me. I was so happy.
I love those.
Really, really pretty.
They're occasionally here. I've seen them before.
Right. Okay. I shall keep my eyes open
not
for that.
That common, and I get them confused when I hear them with a robin, actually.
So that was one of the things I wanted to do this vacation, was to try to, not only record the birds, but actually identify them by hearing the call and then looking for the bird so that I can see the bird making the call. Because it's one thing to have some nice soundscape, but it's another thing to actually have the call of the bird.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that would be wonderful.
So Camille, on your website, I noticed that you mentioned something about citizen science. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the website iNaturalist, and it's this amazing platform where anybody can upload their wildlife sightings or even plant IDs. And it's so great because it actually needs to be confirmed by 2 others on the platform in order for it to be research grade. And so it's really efficient, and we've actually in Coyote Kids, you can start a project maybe in a local area. So we have a project for this park, Elysian Park, because this is where we do Coyote Kids in this park. And we try to, as we walk around and ID birds and ID plants, we upload our sightings on the Coyote Kids Elysian Park project. And it's been so fun, and it's so amazing how immediate the response is from other people on iNaturalist who go on and say, yes, that is an American crow, and it becomes confirmed, within a day, and then now it's research grade, and we can tell the parents that their kids are contributing potentially to some research.
That's amazing.
Right? Yeah, and it's always so important to have these like eBird, to have these sightings recorded, and so that we know. I was looking at eBird the other day, and I noticed there were some sightings from 2012 on there actually in this park. And there were these birds that I haven't seen here in this park in the past 3 years that I've lived here, but they were here then. And even I've noticed turkey vultures used to be here a lot when I first moved here, and now they're not. I don't often see them here in this park, at least. And so it just makes you wonder, and there's probably actually scientists actually studying this, but our research can certainly help, our data can help them in the research.
What kind of data are you uploading?
It's a photo.
Oh, right, okay.
And it can be not even the best quality photo, right? And exactly. So that is, we say what species at least we think it is. And sometimes, it elicits some kind of conversation. Like, I actually don't think that's a, ash-throated flycatcher. I think that might be, some of the birds are a little bit harder to ID. And so it's great. And, it's a fun thing for the kids to be part of as well.
That's amazing. I'll definitely look into that and see whether there's something for the UK, but certainly so is that for North America? So would it be America and Canada?
I'm actually not quite sure.
Okay,
I don't know
I'll
if it's
encourage
Canada
people
as well.
to go and have a look online and see about it.
It's such a great platform. I love it. Yeah, and they do projects for all sorts. I also contribute to the for instance, the National Park Service Coyote Project. It's the LA Urban Coyote Project, and they're looking at coyote sightings around the city because they're doing so well in Los Angeles.
Really?
Yeah, and so I also help volunteer, dissect their scat. We have scat parties once a month. And we
my husband will love hearing that, because I'm always looking at whenever I see scat, I guess, when we're on trail, just trying to work out what animal is left.
Absolutely.
It's always like, do you want me to take a photograph of that?
You could collect it and then...
Yeah, I'm not going to collect it and dissect it. I think I'll just go as far as the... But that's really interesting, because of course that helps you work out what they've been eating. 100%.
Yeah, I used to monthly for over a year collect coyote scat in these certain plots and these certain areas in LA, and then come together in scat parties. And they're baked and they're put in a washing machine and they're completely bacteria free, mostly. And then we dissect them, and there's hair and claws and teeth. The best are to find teeth and claws and nuts and berries and lizard scales and feathers and all sorts of things. And it's a detective story. Like, wow, what are they eating?
Yeah, it's like
great.
CSI.
Absolutely.
CSI Coyote.
That's what I try to convince my students, at least. They think I'm crazy.
That's wonderful.
I invite them to the scat parties all the time. I only had one student come, but I was very proud of her.
No, that's
she
fantastic.
got right in there.
I just love that.
Yeah.
But yes, definitely the citizen science aspect of it. I mean, one of the things we covered was having a big garden bird watch, which the RSPB in the UK has, and I know that over the winter Audubon has winter bird watch.
Absolutely.
And again, that all feeds into knowing what birds are in different areas, whether the populations are declining or expanding.
It's so important.
And to know that watching the birds, there's so many aspects to just being aware of what's around you, whether it's for mental health and for just taking time out of your day, just for being aware of what's coming to your space.
Exactly.
And then the opportunity to actually assist with these citizen science projects. It's just amazing. So there's so much positivity.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And absolutely, bringing young minds and making them aware of the natural world, which is so easy to turn your mind off and bury your head in your phone.
The goal is, I was just telling you, I just got this email from a mother saying, my daughter told me that you had an app to identify birds. What is it? Like, she's dying to know. And it's just so great that outside of Coyote Kids, she's telling her mother about birds and wanting to identify birds on her own. And that's the goal, right? Is to have them in their own yard, or when they look out the window at their house, be like, oh, that's a western scrub jay, and that's so exciting, and they're actually looking around and not at a TV or at their phone.
Which is fine in small doses, but
absolutely,
what we don't want to do is forget what's going on around us in the natural world,
to be connected still,
absolutely,
to our planet.
If people want to find you online, where can they find you?
Our website is coyote-kids.com, and there's everything about Coyote Kids on there. I actually don't have... We have an Instagram as well. I personally don't have a birding account or anything. I'm a very casual birder. I thought this podcast was perfect for me. Mostly, it's been something I've kind of developed through... Well, I studied biology in college, and it started there, but just through traveling as well, right? So when you travel, it's something that you can see everywhere, and that's been probably the most exciting bird sightings, I think. And so I'm unfortunately my partner is a photographer, and he's an amazing photographer, so I kind of ask for his help sometimes in taking photos of birds for later identification, but I actually don't personally take photos of birds or anything. So Coyote Kids is where you can find information about Coyote Kids, and there's a little stuff about me and Tatiana as well.
Okay, that's fantastic.
On there,
you mentioned there about travelling. I just wanted to ask you, so where are some of the places that you've been? In case we can use you in future episodes.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I've been quite a few places now. We're very lucky. We get to travel quite a bit. I was just in Menorca, which apparently is a pretty common destination for the British. Yeah, but also there's a lot of British tourists there.
Absolutely. Very easy to get to for us.
Yeah, and there's some cool... I had actually never seen a red kite, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
They're in England,
all
correct?
over the place.
Okay.
Yeah. And now I have them over the garden, and they're wonderful birds to see.
They're so pretty.
They really are. They're one of my most favourite birds of prey, because they have this really languid, lazy way of floating in the air, and they use their tail, the red tail, as a rudder, and you can absolutely see it moving around. It really is, and I get such delight just watching them.
They're so beautiful.
Absolutely.
I love seeing those in Menorca. And we were in Barcelona and Menorca recently, but the beginning of this year was my favorite place I think I've been so far, Patagonia.
Wow.
And that is absolutely stunning on an epic scale. You know, everywhere you look around you, we would always joke, you know, where do you want the background for the picture? And it's like, it doesn't matter. 360, it's absolutely gorgeous. And the birds are, I mean, the Andean condor, right? You can't, I you know, with the kids, we talk about our spirit animals, and we all, you know, talk about like what we can learn from our spirit animals, and mine, I say, is the Andean condor now that I've seen it, because it's a lesson in just strength and effortless beauty and just being wild. Just ultimate, because the scenery there is so wild and untouched, and it's absolutely so gorgeous. And the condor is so majestic, you know, with a wingspan that size. It was really amazing to see those. We actually also saw a mountain lion pretty close, so that was really cool. That was also a great sighting, that trip. So yeah, Patagonia. We went to Torres del Paine, which is in Chile, and spent about 6 days back just hiking.
Is that the Towers of Pain?
Yes.
My husband is very much into photography too, and yes, apparently that is on our list of places he would definitely want to go. It's on the bucket list. So
it should be at the top.
Okay.
I tell everyone. And then last year we were also in Tanzania, and we hiked Mount Meru, which is the 5th tallest, I think, mountain in Africa. And I saw amazing birds there too. Actually, I have not done like a big year or anything, and I'm very casual about this, but I compiled such a list in Tanzania, and then such a list in Argentina at the end of the year. And then I had a couple good trips in between. I was like, last year, I really need that. I haven't done it yet, but I want to put it all together and see how many.
And that is actually quite exciting, because there's quite a range of birders and bird watchers, and some of them are very focused on lists. But actually, all of us can. It's really rewarding, even if you keep a list of birds in your garden.
Yes, it adds up.
It does.
Yeah.
And then when you get a new species pop in that you notice, it's such a thrill to think this bird has come. But I do the same. I do lists for my different vacations.
Yeah.
I have got a life list, but it's not kind of up to date. I need to pull all the vacation ones into it.
It's hard. They add up. It's a lot of work.
It is, yeah. The apps make it a little bit more easy now, but it would take several hours of going through and
compiling.
Yeah. But I do encourage people to definitely keep a garden, or if they haven't got a garden and they've got a local space, perhaps where they go walking their dog. You know, just to note what they're seeing and put those down. Well, thank you so much. It's been really, really lovely speaking with you today, Camille. And I'll get people to check out your website.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I very much enjoyed spending time with Camille, and I saw firsthand how her enthusiasm and knowledge about birds would really encourage the children to take notice of nature. By the way, I never did see a gopher. This week, I'm releasing a bonus episode. After my interview with Camille, we took a short walk in Elysian Park to see what birds were around. The recording I made is presented almost unedited, so that you can hear the bird song and our excitement and descriptions as we encountered each bird. If you subscribe to the podcast, the bonus episode should show up in your feed. Otherwise, please look for it wherever you download your podcasts. For further information on the birds featured in this podcast, visit the bird guide at audubon.org. You can find out more about British birds with the RSPB online bird identifier at rspb.org.uk. Last week, I asked listeners to try a 10-minute bird watch and send me the results of what they saw. Gina wrote, "This week, I was in Washington, D.C. for business. Walking around the White House and National Mall area, I saw several mallards, American robin, house sparrow, and what I think is a European starling. There's definitely more to see than famous monuments. You just need to take a moment to look around." Ewan, also known as the Edinburgh birdwatcher, sent this. "This week I saw in the garden my local great spotted woodpecker, a collared dove, and a great spectacle of different species of gulls flying around. At work I saw a buzzard, all in Edinburgh. Do follow the Edinburgh Birdwatcher on Instagram and see the video that he posted of all those gulls flying around. Kyle wrote, "Nothing too exciting, but got a clear shot of a cedar waxwing last night in Colchester, Vermont. Not pictured. The 100 million mosquitoes eating me alive while I tried to take the shot. Also saw a downy woodpecker, blue jay, tree swallows and seagulls on that walk." Alan from Savannah, Georgia, had an unfortunate week with the birds in his yard. He wrote, "I got yelled at by brown thrashers this evening. They have very animated calls. They were annoyed that I was cleaning the backyard, invading their private space. Downside, bird enemies. Upside, yard looks great." He also wrote that the hummingbird landed on his shoulder the other day, but he thinks it was the hummingbird's way of threatening him for messing with the feeder. I hope Alan has more luck with the birds this week. Jeremy, who lives in the Pacific Northwest, wrote, "On the monthly bird walk that I lead with some of my co-workers, we saw white-crowned sparrow, American crow, American robin, mallard, gadwall, red-tailed hawk, cedar waxwing, song sparrow, marsh wren and black-capped chickadee. That sounds like a really good list that you saw there, Jeremy. And I know that you mentioned that it was during the middle of the day as well, so that's pretty good going. Adrian from Vancouver Island didn't conduct a bird watch, but during the week he noted 26 species just by looking around him while working outdoors. These included gulls, heron, cormorant, housefinch, siskin, red-winged blackbird, red-tailed hawk, turkey vulture, bald eagle, Anna's hummingbird, towhee, rufous hummingbird, kingfisher, crow, raven, varied thrush and Canada geese. I just think I need to go and live on Vancouver Island. That's just a wonderful list of birds you're seeing there, Adrian. I also received some great feedback from the hosts of the following podcasts: Roots and All, Baked and Awake, and Theme Park Films. The links to all of these shows are in the show notes.
Hi Susie, this is Sarah Wilson from the Roots and All podcast. That's a gardening podcast for anyone who's interested in listening. We've got a website which is www.rootsandall.co.uk where you can download it. I just wanted to contribute to your birdwatch episode. I did my birdwatch today and unfortunately it was a really quiet day on my feeder for birds. I think it's just too hot for them. I normally have quite a good array, but today in my birdwatch I saw a couple of goldfinches who came as soon as I started putting out sunflower hearts, and somebody said to me, "You'll have loads of them turn up," and sure enough I did. And also one of my magpie family popped over to see what was on the floor, and my magpie family along with my jackdaw family just vandalise my bird feeders. They're always wrecking the joint. They throw the feed around, they break the feeders, they trample my plants. They are truly naughty. And the other things that turned up were some sparrows who nest both at the front of my house and in the old barn that's next door to me. And it's really lovely to see them because I don't see so many of those around now. And they're always welcome. And I was hoping that my resident pheasant, Derek, would turn up because I thought I could brag about the fact that he always comes in the garden even when my cats and my dogs are there, and even when we're there. He's absolutely fearless and he's always lovely to see. But he didn't show, it was a no-show. And one of the pigeons came. We did have doves at the beginning of the year, but sadly they haven't been around lately, so I'm not sure whether they just wanted the extra food in the spring. And the other thing that I saw was one of our spotted woodpeckers, and we've had brilliant fun watching the young one trying to cling on to various things as he's been learning the ropes. So at one point he was kind of hanging almost upside down on our guttering. He couldn't quite work out how to use his feet to cling on to things. But also they're lovely to see, and they turn up for our peanuts, but also for the suet cakes that we put out, and they seem to love those. So that is what I saw in my birdwatch today, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share it with you, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye.
Hi there, fellow casual birders. This is Steve from the Baked and Awake podcast. And as you can tell, on our property, you can hear a lot of different birds. You have to listen past the chickens, though, to hear them.
Hi Susie, this is Carla, co-host of Theme Park Films and also the creator of Britpod Scene. So I'm recording for you in a place called Wallington, which is just outside of Croydon, and it's as near to the edge of Surrey as you can get before you tip into South London. So as you can hear, quite a built up area, and I don't get to see many birds around here. I only really see pigeons, and at the moment I'm just watching two pigeons out of the window, and one of them has found a chip from the local chippy, or one of many local chippies, and he's not letting the other one have it at all, so it's all kicking off here. Pigeon wars. That's a motorbike. Don't try to identify that as a bird. I can confirm it was a motorbike. I can't really see anything else for you. Even the pigeons have stopped fighting now. They've just, accepted gracefully. That's a big double-decker bus. Again, I must clarify, not a bird, a double-decker bus. And here is a single-decker bus. I mean, if you ever want to change the title of your podcast to The Casual Busser, I'm more than happy to guest on that for you. I have them running here until, I believe they run till another double-decker. I believe they run till about 2 a.m. and then they start again about 5 a.m. So able to do, pretty much full coverage of that for you if you fancy it. I can now see a brand new pigeon. Now there's no confirmation if this pigeon also has found a chip. He certainly looks well fed, so could have found a kebab instead, not sure. Can't confirm that at this stage. He's just flown away. I think that's all you're going to get, Susie. I could sit here for 10 minutes with my head hanging out the window, but I don't think much else is going to happen.
I'd love to know what birds you've seen this week. Join our Facebook group to discuss this week's episode, or post your photos of the birds you've seen. I really do enjoy hearing your tales, so come and join the conversation there. Find us at facebook.com/groups/casualbirderpodcast. Follow me on Twitter at casualbirderpod or on Instagram at casualbirderpodcast. You can email me at casualbirderpod@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving a rating and review in Apple Podcasts. And tell your friends on Facebook and Twitter about the show. Thank you to Randy Braun for designing the artwork for the show. The theme music is Short Sleeve Shirt by the Drones. Thanks to them for letting me use it. And check out their website at www.dronesmusic.net. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you'll join me again for another episode of the Casual Birder podcast.
Hello, it's Heather from the Sunshine and Power Cuts podcast. From the 11th to the 17th of August 2018, I am hosting the second Sunshine Summit. It's a week of live streams with amazing content creators and the theme of celebrating connections. All the details for the upcoming summit, as well as replays from the first summit we held in March, can be found on the sunshineandpowercuts.com website on the Sunshine Summit 2018 tab. So check it out, and if you know the guests, we'd love for you to come and celebrate with us. But if they're new to you, come along and learn more about them during the summit. We look forward to celebrating with you.